you live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. I am Julian Skeet.
And I am Maria Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning to those of you viewing us on right here in Tobago, those of you viewing us in Trinidad, the Caribbean, and on the live. Good morning. Julian, good morning to you. How are you this morning?
Well, Ria, I'm doing fine, Ria. More importantly, as some would say, how are you doing, Ria, this morning?
I need to put down my pen for this one. Julian, I'm doing very well. I'm doing exceptionally well. I don't know what happened yesterday, but I can't begin to make sense of what happened yesterday. Persons lost sight of the interview. And the topic of the day was simply, what did Ria see?
What did Ria see? What did Ria see?
Julian, my phone was ringing off the hook yesterday. My son, my daughter, my husband. What did Ria see? Mr. George, talk to me now. Tell me the truth. What Ria see? My father called and said, favorite daughter, special daughter, tell your daddy what you see. I said, Daddy, you too? But so, Julian, Pearl Henry, I have to mention Pearl Henry this morning.
I suspect she's on the live, but go ahead,
Pearl
Ria.
Henry kept the public entertained yesterday. I kid you not. Pearl Henry kept the public entertained. I realized that I became a meme and a sticker by yesterday afternoon.
But for good reasons. For good reasons, Ria. For good reasons.
But Pearl Henry kept the public entertained. I'll tell you one of my favorite memes, Julian. When you go to pay for your groceries, and your card declines, and you pretend
you are in for an exciting morning as well. Ria, who do we have on the lineup this morning?
Oh my, Julian. Like we said, an interesting morning coming up today. The whole issue of the mandatory vaccinations is still in the limelight, and coming to chat with us this morning on the program, we will be chatting with Tutor Tobago's officer, Braden Roberts, is going to be on the program this morning to chat on the issue of the new school term and are we ready, and I think all of these things are going to be tied into that interview.
All right, we also have on the rundown this morning Dr. Andre Phillips, and we'll be speaking to remembering APT James, so giving us a little insight there, researcher and content creator Dr. Andre Phillips.
And we've got another Andre, but this is Dr. Andre McSween, who's going to be on the program. He's also going to be chatting with us on X-ray analysis of the cervical spine. Now, Dr. McSween is a chiropractor, and he chats. He's not the man who cracks backs. That's the local term, but it's a whole lot more.
And we have, wrapping this morning with us, Priscilla Joseph Myers, and that's the owner of TJM Designs. She'll be on with us speaking about TJM Designs this morning. I'm giving us a little bit of that backstory. You always see Priscilla on social media. I'm giving you her bits, giving you her input. But certainly this morning we chat with her a little bit more about the company and how it's been going for her, coming through a pandemic, and even now as we're going through what might be, the continuation of the pandemic within these challenging times. So we look forward to those discussions this morning. Where we have some birthday shout-outs to in the lineup this morning. I know we missed a few yesterday.
Let's start with what we missed.
So let's start with what we missed yesterday, because we don't want persons to feel left out at all. Dr. Paul Crooks, we want to say happy birthday to you. That's Dr. Paul Crooks. Also want to do a shout out to Chad O'Connor out there in Vancouver. Yeah, my cousin. Happy birthday to you. I know you would have celebrated your birthday yesterday, and I know Chad, so he's probably still in his celebration mode. All right, and we also want to send a quick shout out as well. Oh no, that's today. So we're going to move forward to today, Ria.
Okay, so today, Yara Phillips, one of our Tobago updates supporters and friends. We go way back. He goes, yeah, that's him. That's the guy. We call him YP. That's the home name, the family name, the Tobago Channel 5 Tobago Updates name. Yes, that's because we worked together at Tobago Channel 5 for many years. So he's celebrating his birthday today. So love going out to you this morning, Yarrell Phillips or YP. And then we get into the anniversaries a little bit after on. Go ahead, Julia.
All right. Who else do we have on the lineup this morning, Rhea?
Who do we have?
No, I don't have any other birthdays.
No other birthdays?
At
Okay.
the moment. So we go straight into anniversaries.
Anniversaries this morning. Reverend Nevin Lewis and Billy Sterling Lewis celebrating their anniversary today. Congratulations, guys. Love going out to you from the Tobago Updates family. As well, Kyle Stewart and Siobhan Stewart celebrating their anniversary today. A beautiful couple. Congratulations, guys. Keep love alive.
Well, really want to send out all the birthday and anniversary greetings coming from the Tobago Updates family. And yes, Rhea, the live is flowing. Yes, Ulla Hazel, Nicole Williams, Sharon Mills, Keyshawn Robley, good morning. Thank you all for joining in on the live this morning. This is the Tobago Updates morning show.
A very quick big up and shout out to Kathy Nicholson, all the way in Baltimore, USA, who is locked on almost every morning, paying attention to the show. Kathy, good morning to you, and some love coming out to you, love to you from some of your former classmates right here in Tobago. Can't call their names, but you know who they are.
All right, and I think this is an excellent week. Good morning, Mr. Skeet. Good morning, Auntie Rhea. Good morning, Auntie Rhea's facial expressions. Have an awesome day. Folks, this is the Tobago Updates morning show. We'll be right back, but we want to encourage you, remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Good morning, put a smile on your
Trinidad and Tobago. I am Nigel Paul, winner of a bronze medal at the recently concluded IABA World Boxing Championships for men held in Serbia in the 92 plus kgs category. I got vaccinated to represent the red, white and black with distinction. So now I'm asking you, all citizens, to please get the vaccine. Do it for yourself, do it for your family, do it for the country. We the athletes want to train every day and bring back medals for you. So don't hesitate. Vaccinate today.
Citizens, get the vaccine for you, me and TNT. Don't hesitate. Vaccinate today. Kindly sponsored by NLCB, Salcott.
put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Morning, viewers, and welcome back. It's 7:09 a.m. And folks, yes, we are seeing the responses on the live. And, you know, I'll see if I can work along with Rhea to get her to provide some information before the hour is out this morning. I will make every possible effort so to ensure, but you never know when she's probably going to release a little something. So please remember to stay tuned. Auntie Rhea, they're all looking out for you this morning. Folks, in this segment, we are chatting and we're going to have some discussions with tutor Tobago Rep Breeden Roberts. And I want to take this opportunity before we even get into the formalities. It's anniversary greetings going out to Breeden and Bailey. We want to ensure and send out our anniversary greetings to you coming from the Tobago Updates family.
Thank you very much.
So that's probably the lighter moment before you get into the pressure.
Yes, yes.
All right. At this point, we are chatting specific to the current situation before us. The school term would have reopened as at a Monday of this week. How would that have been?
First of all, good morning to the viewers and a prosperous year to us all. The first day visiting schools, it was not so much of a surprise, but I wanted to make sure and get that update so that whenever I'm to speak about the schools, I get a current situation. With the secretaries that would have just come in, it's not expected that they would have been able to change much. However, the division would have had their team in the PIU and so forth throughout the period. Unfortunately, the school labs are still not ready. They are not certified for use. The issues that we raised throughout last year have not been addressed for this new term. There is some level of optimism that work would start pushing forward so that some of these things can be addressed. The secretaries would have to show what they have been campaigning about. So we are keeping in that interaction to ensure that the matters are treated with.
All right. So one of the things we're going forward with, a determination would have been made by the government specific to vaccination and in terms of ensuring that all public officers, and of course tutor is also affected by that. We saw some action being taken yesterday by the joint trade union movement, of which the president of tutor was also a part. And just give us a little update on that in terms of the position of tutor.
All right. Tutor has never been against vaccination. However, tutor has always been pro-choice. So a person should have that ability to choose whether to be vaccinated or not. We are not so much into the vaccine conversation. However, we stand in solidarity with all our members, vaccinated or unvaccinated, where job security is concerned. So we are not in support of mandates. However, we have taken that decision to up our advocacy in terms of encouraging teachers to be vaccinated. So in the very near future, we'll be seeing lads from tutor. We continue to direct persons into the avenues where they can get sound information, because too much persons are taking information from Facebook, the social media, when we have certified persons that we pay thousands of dollars a month that we somehow choose not to listen to. So we are hoping to up the education in terms of vaccination to our members and to encourage all our members to be vaccinated, but it's twofold.
Approximately what percentage, of teachers at the moment within Trinidad and Tobago, even within the Tobago space, are vaccinated?
We have not aggressively polled because it has not been a mandatory thing. However, the statistics show in Tobago generally that the numbers are low, and then in teaching, it's in line with that low number. So it's not satisfactory at all. It's not close to 50% nationally, and it's worse in Tobago. We know that the uptake in Tobago has been lower than the national uptake.
Correct. So the question is, what happens with teachers come mid-January? What would be, because we heard yesterday a statement again being made indicating to public officers specifically that they are to report for duty. What is the advice of tutor to its teachers? Has a position been taken just yet in terms of what should teachers do come the middle of January? Should they not be vaccinated according to the request and the mandate of the most recent regulation presented by the government?
Well, the reality is that nothing has yet changed there. The government has signaled their intentions. However, for a mandate like that to work, it needs to be made law. So at this time, we are preparing. Considering what could be brought, but we have not yet seen. So as it stands, yes, we do not wish for our workers, or our members, sorry, to anticipate that the 17th they have to stay home because they're not vaccinated. You go out to your job. It's for the government to issue whatever they need to issue, and which we would be ready to respond to.
The question I want to link to, and one of our viewers would have raised it as well, is we would have faced a situation over the last term or so where 4 to 6 formers would have been out to school. It started off with a situation of only vaccinated students, and then it was open to all students. And similarly, teachers were out in their numbers, whether vaccinated or not. At that time, it did not necessarily matter. What I want to get a sense of from you is, what is your assessment as tutor in terms of how that term would have gone and its impact, particularly with 4 to 6 formers out face to face?
All right. The pandemic as it stands and the protocols put in place is not affording the comfort. Even if persons get vaccinated, vaccinated persons have the benefit of not being hospitalized based on what the health officials have said. It's not saying that if you're vaccinated, the school is safe. So the protocols that are to be in the schools, those things need to be beefed up. I know that last term there was a lot of confusion between teachers and principals as to who are primary contacts. You are waiting 2 weeks to get results and be notified that persons that you have interacted with all of last week would have tested positive. So you're not certain as to how safe you are. So these protocols need to be treated with. And yes, the vaccines, we are advocating for the vaccines, but it's much more than vaccinating persons.
So how then does tutors suggest we move forward in relation to throughout the world? You're hearing it across the world in most, if not all, indicating that vaccination is the way to go. We understand as well, based on what you're communicating, that tutor is not against vaccination, but nor do they feel that it should be made mandatory. How do we suggest that we move back our schools and our education plan? I mean, it's not in isolation, but I want to get the perspective of tutor. How do we move back this sector to some kind of normalcy?
Well, first of all, the messaging at the beginning was not well thought out. I believe those at the helm believe that once they say to do, the population will just do. We have gone past that phase many years ago. We need to listen and target our messaging to all those persons who are still hesitant. I believe we took too much time shaming persons who were questioning the vaccine. But it's holistic. While we are doing such, we need to also make the workplace comfortable. So we cannot separate the vaccine conversation from workplace health safety protocols. So those two things cannot be separated. So yes, we have seen the effects of the COVID virus on our health system. Every day you hear about someone close to you who would have passed away or is seriously ill at the hospital. However, it's holistic. It's not just vaccine. And I believe everyone is focusing on vaccine, as this vaccine is the only aspect of getting our community safe to operate in the schools, especially, as we would want it to be.
So how do we then work with, I know there's the plan by the Ministry of Education for the 1st to 3rd formers, and I think that's from February, in terms of returning to the school space. How do you see this working?
Now, my concern has always been national policy is being made. Only 2 persons, from my recollection, brings Tobago matters to the national conversation. That's myself and the APS president, the president of the Principals Association for Secondary Schools.
Right, that's Mrs. Shira Carrington James.
Yes.
Right.
Only these 2 persons bring Tobago perspective. There is very little consultation with the minister and the secretary, or well, now secretaries, with the administrator or with supervisors who are on the ground and have a full understanding of Tobago issues. Unfortunately, a lot of the policies are brought out in the media, and that's when the division is knowing about it. So then they are now grasping and trying to see how best they can adhere to the protocols. Based on my visit, our schools in Tobago are not ready for February to bring out more persons. We have a compounding issue of staff shortage. There are several subject areas where we don't have a teacher. So the relationship with Teaching Service Commission and all these dynamics need to be looked at. So we are not ready. We have not been ready last term when we brought out 4 to 6. But of course, we would try our best to reach out to our students. Teachers have been sacrificing, putting themselves at risk as well, to ensure that we do not neglect our students. So that effort of the teachers would always be there. But I believe the decision makers, we need to have a holistic view, and there must be an avenue where persons from the division can interact with the minister or those in ministry before decisions are being taken.
Well, it's a good opportunity for me to ask you, Braden, how confident do you feel with the current dispensation, the current administration in office, knowing fully well we start with an assistant secretary that served as Tobago officer for tutor previously, a secretary that served as a former teacher, and a chief secretary that also served as a former teacher? How confident are you in terms of being able to deal with a number of the current issues for tutor as it relates to the pandemic and even general issues within the school system? Are you very hopeful?
My level of hopefulness, it's the same for any other person who is to coming. I start at zero.
Even with persons who have experienced the challenges?
Well, the benefit is it would take less of a time for them to be in tune with what is on the ground. But in terms of promise of action, yes, we are grateful that there are persons who would have had the experience even as a Tobago officer and former teacher. However, we have to see those persons in their new capacity. And I would want to interact with such persons in their new capacity.
Have you been able to confirm a meeting with them today?
Yes, we had a meeting yesterday.
Excellent.
And it went pretty well. We discussed some of the umbrella issues facing teachers that the division needs to look at, especially the relationship with the Teaching Service Commission, with ministry, chief ad, file management. It was well received based on their response. They have also scheduled further meetings for us to go deeper into strategizing and so forth. So there would be that level of collaboration. We would have also set the tone where we would have signaled the intent to work together. Yes, there may be issues where, as a union officer, I will have to represent the members. However,
that has to be your first priority.
Yes. However, it's not in an antagonistic way where we are hoping to strike a war with anyone. It has never been the case. Even with the previous secretary, there was that relationship, although I would have been in the media raising issues, that we were able to work together. So I'm optimistic that we will be able to continue that kind of relationship with the division and with persons who would have known. However, I still want to reach out to these persons in their new capacity, not taking on what they were before becoming secretaries.
All right. Well, fair enough. As one of our viewers would say, very realistic, Braden Roberts. All right. At the end of the day, but what is very important, and we want to thank you very much for your continued commitment. Just before we wrap this morning, one of our viewers asked pretty quickly the position regarding the policy specific to younger children, those who are not eligible to take the vaccine. Is it that you will support if there is a call to return to schools, or that they continue in online schooling until?
Our situation in terms of the number of students coming out, and I will go back to what I mentioned earlier about schools and the protocols being put in place.
Right, and this one in 30 seconds, just as we wrap the interview.
Yes, so if protocols are in place, it will minimize the effect of a spread in school. Minus the protocols, then you will definitely need everyone vaccinated, because it's most likely that there would be a spread. So it's not just to say remain online. We know online has been a challenge. We want to be in a position where we are offering the best to our students, but things must be in place before we do such. I cannot blindly support such.
All right. Thank you very much, Braden Roberts here this morning, tutor Tobago officer, and I think fitting comments to close. Makan Hislop. Well done, Mr. Roberts. All right. Folks, this is the Tobago Updates morning show, and we're coming to you live here from the Port Mall in Scarborough. Thank you to all of you joining us online. Tonya Osman Ramsey, I see you. Good morning. Good morning. Folks, we want to remind you to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on the Tobago Updates morning show. My name is Devon Adana. The time is now 7:25, and you're joining us at James Park for a very special edition of This Day in Tobago History. Today, January 5th, 2022, marks the 60th anniversary of the death of Alfonso Filbert Theophilus James. He died on this day in 1962, and I thought I'd share 5 things you probably didn't know about arguably one of Tobago's most vociferous advocates. Did you know that he was a Patience-Hill man who was born on what we now call Republic Day? Fargo was born on the 24th of September 1901 in the village of Patience-Hill, where he attended the Patience-Hill RC School. Number 2, did you know that he had humble beginnings, but he became a man of great wealth and influence? He was a pupil teacher in Tobago during World War I. Upon moving to Trinidad, he became a stevedore in 1929. By 1941, he secured a contract to supply labor, becoming a stevedore contractor and even opening an office on 47 Henry Street, Port of Spain. APT, number 3, had won 3 of 5 of the elections he contested, spanning from 1961. He first came on the scene on July 1st, 1946, as a result of universal suffrage in Trinidad and Tobago. Not only could every adult vote, but it also meant that former restrictions on becoming a candidate were now insignificant. He won 3 consecutive elections to serve as a member for Tobago on the Legislative Council. Number 4, he traveled to England to put Tobago's issues squarely in front of those who were in a position to do something about it. In 1948, soon after he was elected to office, Alfonso surveyed the entire island of Tobago with a view to compiling all issues and areas in need of development in a memo to be presented to the then Secretary of State, Sir Arthur Creech Jones. Number 5, what James was able to do for Tobago in terms of development in a decade is nothing shocking. Here are just a few of the things he was able to achieve. He was able to complete the supply of electricity in 1952. There was a deep water harbour and new wharf opened in Scarborough, also in 1952. There was a new water scheme at Hillsborough to replace the 1926 supply. And there was the development of tourism with a liberal tax incentive offered for hotel construction, resulting in the building of the Crown Point Hotel, which opened in 1958. All of this information and more you can discover about the larger-than-life character that was APT James in a biography of Alfonso Filbert Theophilus James, written by your guest this morning, Mr. Andre Phillips. Mr. Phillips is no stranger to not only Tobago history, but Tobago diaspora. He is a well-known and experienced person within the realm of development consulting, entrepreneurship, and civil engagement. He has a doctorate in business administration, which he received from the UE St. Augustine. And most important for today is that he has done a lot of doctoral research on the nexus between diaspora tourism and sustainable development. Welcome, Mr. Phillips, or Dr. Phillips, should I say?
Andrew is fine. A pleasant morning and Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to all the viewers and listeners out there.
Thank you. We're so grateful to have you on such a special day. I mean, could you have foreseen that, you'd be doing an interview on the anniversary of his death when you first wrote the book, Governor Fargo?
No, I did not envisage this. As a matter of fact, I am very pleased to see that you have taken to be able to continue the recognition of this stalwart. The point about it, what is interesting is that 30 years ago, or thereabouts, I was here because in that period there was the commemoration or the mounting of the bust. And this was this was in the Patrick Manning's administration. And I was invited to the session, and that represented the first real tangible recognition of him going forward. And it so coincided with the period when I wrote the book. Now, I do not know if the book influenced this, but it was just shortly after I had published this work, which started really as a biography, a school project back in my bachelor's days in UWI.
Right. Now, let me ask you, when you were a young boy, probably going to school, a school-aged boy, did you hear anything about APT James? Was there a lot of talk about him?
I have to say no. As a matter of fact, when I undertook this exercise for my school project to write a dissertation, it was Politics 101, I think that was the program they called it at that time. All the students had to present work on their heroes, political heroes in the islands.
Right.
I said I was not going to be doing Eric Williams. There must be somebody of Tobago significance. And so that is when I started my, what you would call, primary research to find out more about it. But I had a head knowledge about him. I think it was around this period in the early 80s. He was called James Park, but there was nothing to represent. So when I started that work, I did a lot of interviews with people who have since passed on to be able to put together a perspective on who this man was. And it grew more and more and more. And I just was amazed that the most you could have found about APT James in that period, I think, was in some primary school reader. They had a paragraph on him, and that was it. So I was delighted to take my work about, this is 11 years after I finished the dissertation in the school program, and nothing had been said. I was delighted to bring that work to the fore with a little more perspective on his, not just political, but his social life and his philanthropic life. So that is why the book had been prepared in 3 sections like that. So you could get a snippet of every facet of his life. And each of them you can go very deeply into what he has done.
Now, I think APT's story has been largely forgotten by Tobagonians.
I think the problem we have in our society is that we are living in the now, we are instant, we don't have this recognition. We may have the interest in recognizing artifacts, old visitor attractions and so on, but when you talk about the people who've poured into our lives, that has, to me, been somewhat weak. People have not been very upfront. As a matter of fact, the challenge I had is I thought more people would have gotten in and expanded the work I did on APT James from 1993 till now. And there is no significant body of work in the libraries. I know there was a contribution by a guy, Larry Luke, who did some work on him, looking at his political life. But beyond that, for a man of his stature, the amount of material that is published on him should be far more than it is now.
I completely agree with you. Now, how, if you had to distill all of his contribution down to one thing, what do you think would be the most significant contribution that APT James has made to Tobago?
It is hard to put it down to one, but I will start with perhaps this significant one in terms of the advancing the Tobago cause for self-government. He was not able to live long enough to see this come to pass, but he, to me, was the architect of the whole autonomy struggle. He gave it form and voice. This is from 1946. You did see that we had universal adult suffrage, and then he became elected legislator from Tobago. The whole of Tobago was under his command. In 1946, therefore, when he entered into Parliament, he had an opportunity now to be able to speak Tobago's situation, and he had made it very clear that Tobago was like a Cinderella. It was neglected, terribly neglected by the administration, which was the head administration in Trinidad. And he said we had to change this. So he went on to address a number of issues. He had written to the governor, he had written to the executive council head about the different measures that Tobago needed to come into what you would call a New Deal.
Right.
And he championed those things for 15 years. Some of them, through his advocacy, came to be seen. And so I have to tell you now, when you look at his advocacy is extraordinary and unmatched. He did what you could not expect one man to do, as you just called out, the different infrastructure improvements, especially the road network.
Yes.
And he was the person that was instrumental in the airport, a runway. We used to have an airfield, and through him we were able to get the runway because he agitated and advocated, and they had to listen to him eventually.
No, I want to touch a little bit on his actual death. In your book, you write, Alfonso P.T. James died of a stroke on January 5th, 1962, after a 7-hour struggle for survival, only a month after the elections. Now, many would say he almost died of a broken heart, right? So, you know, what do you think that tells us about the character and the nature of the man, that he would stay with us for 7 hours?
Yeah, that was quite a poignant element.
Yeah.
The challenge is that when he went into the 1961 campaign, remember he won the elections 3 times, 46, 50, and 56.
Right.
And here in 61, he was coming up against the formidable PNM machinery, which had been first evident in 56 with Robinson, but definitely they were ready for James in 1961. I think he had some strategy. His political strategy was not as thorough as he would have expected. And there were 2 candidates, because in that election they now had 2 seats in the electoral system, parliament, 18 in all, but Tobago now had 2 seats and continue to have that. And what I think happened is that he felt the population would remember his efforts in the way he assisted people in different ways, with financial assistance as though he was in the government, to people who were short of monies for housing, paying rent, getting school books, and so on. He thought that was sufficient to carry him over the hurdle. But the finish line eluded him, and Robinson was able to emerge victorious. And I think in the final analysis, he felt, I think all of that impacted how he felt, how he took this defeat very, very badly, and he succumbed.
Now, what do you think APT James would make of 2022 Tobago? 60 years, you know, if he maybe were alive today, or if somehow he was to be reincarnated and walk in the street, bro, what do you think you would make of 2022 Tobago?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I had noted from the research and other works that I had looked at after. APT James was pushing for autonomy, full autonomy. Right. I don't think that he would have expected that would have taken such a long time after his passing. Mm-hmm. We got the Tobago House of Assembly Act in 1980. Now, 60 years later, the way I saw APT James from his writings and his utterances, I felt that he would expect Tobago to be an equal partner with Trinidad by now, because he projected that in his 1951 document that he wrote, a memorandum from the Tobago Citizens Economic and Social Party,
yes,
which was his main party. Mm-hmm. And so I believe he would have expected, I projected we would be side by side in a real way. And that is what I think would have been on the table for him at this time.
Now, you spoke a little bit about the more books or more literature on him. Is there any other way you feel Tobago could commemorate, somebody of such significance to our history and even our development?
It is very interesting you ask that, because I would say this to you. I mean, I am a content creator, and so far our content, this is in partnership with Push Foundation, the organization that I founded, we have put out material. And this situation with APT James and how we could honor him is a lot more visual work. As a matter of fact, I had a discussion with Tony Hall some time ago, because I think the way I've written the book, it allows the man to be seen as a folk character. And so there are different ways you could portray him. It's something people could pursue to bring his impact to the population in a format that most young people would be able to appreciate.
Well, we want to thank you so much for sharing your research, and the book is called A Biography of Alfonso Filbert Theophilus James, Governor Fargo, and it's written by Andre or Dr. Andre Phillips in some circles.
And I just want to say that Fargo is how he was known here, because that was his nickname.
Right.
A name that came from, he was given that name because it followed his immense strength when he worked as a stevedore. And he was named after a heavy-duty truck that the British built and used in the oil fields.
Yes.
And he took that name.
Thank you so much for joining the Tobago Updates morning show. Share the live, share the live, share the live. Back to you guys in studio.
Yvonne Adana with This Day in Tobago History. A very interesting perspective, a very interesting interview. Thank you so much. We are chatting this morning, viewers, with Dr. Andre Pelham McSween, chiropractor. He's on the program this morning as we focus on X-ray analysis of the cervical spine. Good morning and welcome to Dr. McSween.
Good morning, Rhea. The last time I was here, we spoke about certain curves in the back, and I thought I would bring these X-rays and explain why it's so necessary that chiropractors request them. The curve that we referred to the last time I was here is this curve here, up in the cervical spine. This is a lordotic curve. If your neck is straight, then you have a problem, you've had some trauma.
Right.
But these X-rays are required if my patient comes in with pain in the arm, numbness in the fingers, numbness in the hand, pain in the wrist, pain in the elbows, pain in the shoulders, bursitis, tennis elbow, carpal tunnel, pain up the side of the neck.
Okay, let me ask you something here, Dr. McSween.
Yes.
You just said patients come in here with pains in the arms.
Yes.
Pain, tingling in the fingers.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying here you would require an X-ray.
Yes.
To determine what is happening with the pains and the tingling in the fingers.
Yes.
Pain in the arms.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, because I don't know where the pain is coming from, and I don't know what's causing the pain. But as a chiropractor, it's required of me to know where the pain is coming from, and we know that pain comes from the nervous system.
Right.
And so my first set of X-rays are really the cervical spine. Now this here are 3 views of the cervical spine.
Right.
This is what we call an open mouth,
right.
an A to P open mouth. This here is what we call a base posterior, and this is a lateral cervical. I think I made mention to a lateral cervical the last time I was here with you. Now, in these X-rays here, you are trying to identify reason for care.
Right.
Why do I need to give this patient care? And without it, I couldn't have a reason at all. Nevertheless, these X-rays here give me the ability to find out, because these bones move. And when they move in out of juxtaposition with the bone above it, like this bone here and this bone, the out of juxtaposition, which you can see in the base posterior, then it gives me reason to care, especially if it has moved 2 millimeters or more.
Okay, I want to ask you another question here really quickly. How many patients come into you not connecting the dots in terms of the tingling in the fingers and the pain in the arms being as a result of an issue with the spine or the nervous system?
97%.
Have no clue that there's a connection.
Have no clue. Have no clue whatsoever. So a cursory analysis of these X-rays here tells me that this patient has had some trauma. Patient has had some trauma because I can see movement of the cervical spine, the segments. Now this here is the first bone in the head. This is the second, this is the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. You have 7 cervical vertebrae. And so the identifying markers to know or to ascertain if there's movement are the spinous processes. These spinous processes here in the base posterior are these spinous processes here in the lateral cervical. And they move.
Right.
And when they move more than 2 millimeters, pains come about, etc., etc.
You said that this patient, you see signs of trauma in the patient.
Yes.
Based on the x-rays.
Yes.
What type of trauma was? Could it have been a fall, an accident?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. This patient here has whiplash. There's a jutting out of this cervical inferior end plate. You can see it right here. You can see it here as well. So the first thing I'm looking for now is trauma. Were you in an accident? And 100% of the times they say yes. And then I'm looking over here. I can see the spinous processes movement, especially to the right. And so I start measuring. My measurement will tell me where the vertebral subluxations are. Remember the last time we spoke was about vertebral subluxations. Vertebral subluxations causes pain and discomfort.
Yes.
And a vertebral subluxation is when one bone moves out of juxtaposition with the bone above it or the bone below it. The other thing that I'm looking for is disc height. I'm looking at the end plates. These are the end plates here. This is the inferior end plate, the superior end plate. This is a disc here. So I'm looking for the heights of the disc so that I would know that, in fact, there was blunt force trauma with these movements here from the base approach. Now, this here is an open mouth. The open mouth shows movement again with one bone that the chiropractor is looking for, and that is C2, which is axis. This here is axis, and I'm looking for this bone here, which is the odontoid process.
And let's just for those viewers out there who are wondering, what is he talking about? Where would that be located? Because this is an open mouth.
Yes, this is an open mouth.
So that would be located, that would be, we're talking...
Right, I have your mouth open because if you have your jaw clenched like this or closed, I wouldn't see what I want to see.
Right.
So the reason I request the open mouth is to see the odontoid process.
Right.
This is the odontoid process, which is in what we call C2, which is axis. Atlas is above it, and axis fits into atlas.
Right.
So that gives you the ability to swivel your neck, etc. Right. So odontoid is working in you. And so after the analysis, I see the requirement for care. Without this, I had no basis for care. And so I start giving the patients care. I put them into a certain bracket, and I see them over a period of time. And 99.7% of the time, my patients get well.
Now, question.
Yes.
What signs and symptoms would this patient, based on the x-rays, what symptoms rather would this patient be exhibiting?
Right.
You say as a result, there seems to be blunt force trauma or some type of trauma, maybe an accident, maybe a fall. But what, I mean, they may be walking around, you know, feeling happy-go-lucky, but what could they be experiencing in their bodies that they cannot peg?
From up in the cervical spine, I could identify a number of things. This patient was having numbness in the hands, inability to really clench the fists, tingling in the fingertips, pain in the thumbs, pain in the wrist, pain in the elbows, pain in the shoulders, pain up the side of the neck.
Wow. And we have just about less than a minute here to wrap up. Yeah. But very quickly here, there is an item on beds, and almost 99.9% of the public's beds that you have an issue with. You've spoken about it. You and I have been chatting about chiropractic care for a number of years.
Yes.
And you often talk about this thing. Most persons have 2.
Yes.
Some persons have 4. And they are called pillows. They're called pillows that you have an issue with.
Yes.
Very quickly, tell our viewers why you have an issue with pillows and what pillows. I'm saying this, and I know that person saying, but I can't sleep without a pillow. So
I have an issue with pillows because if you have had trauma to the cervical spine, which is what we're talking about here, then you find that the pillow exacerbates the condition.
Right.
Let's say, for instance, the curvature in the cervical spine is less than or is more than 35 degrees, which you can identify from the base of the posterior and anterior tubercles of atlas down to C7, and so you know the degree curvature, and that patient puts a pillow under the head, and it's pushing the head like this, then you're going to have a problem.
So you say get rid of
rid of the pillow or get on a baby's pillow, a pillow that is just a little bit above the mattress. Okay. And don't buy any pillow which has curvatures in it. Because
then they've got modern ones now.
You go on the plane and you see all these people with this around the neck like this. The head can't even go back. And it's like a fad. It's a fad thing. It's not helping.
Okay.
Problems.
All right. Now, Dr. Masreen, I know there are persons out there saying, where is his office? How can persons contact you?
Well, I operate out of Lowlands here, which I've been doing for, oh my God, 15 years.
A lot of years.
And right across from the mall, I'm in Deborah's mall there by Fancy Panda or something like that. And I'm right at the back by Deborah there. And I operate out of San Fernando. I have an office on Canary Street, 21 Canary Street. You need to see me, just Google me, Pella McSween, the same Laventy name, you know. Just Google Pella McSween, and it brings you right to my office.
Thank you so much.
And my numbers, you can get me on my cell easily. You get me on Facebook.
What's your number?
My number is 710-6819. Anytime you call me, I would respond sometime, if not
very true.
Unless I'm sleeping.
Or cooking. or cooking, because he's all over social media cooking. Yeah.
And you can get me at 652-1255.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Thanks for having me.
Andre Pella McSween for chatting with us this morning on the program. Viewers, we are going to take lots more coming up after the program. We continue to encourage you to share the live, and share the live.
All Tobagonians and visitors of this beautiful island, the Tobago Recycling Resource Initiative is seeking your efforts and support in keeping a clean and organized, friendly environment. In doing so, drop-off bins are located at strategic areas around Tobago for your recyclable materials such as plastics, aluminum and steel cans, glass bottles and Tetra packs in bags, and let's protect our environment. Our own Tobago Recycling Resource Initiative is here to propel that change. Look for the white bin nearest to your area.
Carnival is the time when you let yourself go to that place in your soul that your mind want to go, holding on to a bumper and just whining away your life. So when you see them girls coming and they whining down low, it have nobody outside there, you know? But that's a sad thing, because we want to get back to some level of normalcy, and the only way to do that is by taking the vaccine. So TNT, let's do this. Let's get back to normal. Please don't hesitate. Vaccinate.
Citizens, get the vaccine for you, me, and TNT. Kindly sponsored by NLCB, Desalcott.
Jump up and down like you just don't care. It's carnival time. You could feel it in the air. This I wanna go on clear.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers. It's 7:53 a.m. and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you live here from the Port Mall in Scarborough. In this segment, we're chatting with a young lady here. Some of you may know her. She's very vocal about her spices and her connection with the spice aisle. Some of you may just know her as plain old outspoken, telling you like it is on social media. Some of you know her as the wife of Lenny Myers. Good morning, Lenny. This morning we are chatting with Priscilla Joseph Myers, owner of TJM Designs. Good morning, Priscilla.
Good morning, Julian.
And apologies in advance, viewers. If you hear the Tris in between, it's because we know each other for a very long time.
Correct, yes.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
So we're going to chat a little bit this morning about TJM Designs. Yes, I'm aware, but for the benefit of all our viewers, when did this all start for you?
TJM Designs started in 2016 officially, but TJM Designs is me, Priscilla Joseph Myers. And I have been sewing from childhood. I think I've been sewing since I was 11. I like to say I grew up in a tailor shop because I spent literally all of my free time in my neighbor's tailor shop. So I've been sewing for a very long time, but officially registered business 2016. Yeah.
So when you started off, I know a lot of people know TJM Designs now for the wide array. But when you started off, what were some of the very basic items at the start for you?
I think some of the basic items would have been, well, bags. And TJM Designs is really known for bags, even though I do a couple other things. But bags, duffel bags and bucket bags would have been my first pieces per se, and I have to say thank you to Lisa Marie and Sandy because they really pushed me to do my first show. I didn't want to, but they pushed me. They said, you have to be part of this show, you have to produce things. So I did some stuff, and from that first show, the response that I got from my customers, I was like, okay, this looked like something I could do, because at that time I wasn't even registered as yet. I wasn't a registered business when I did the first show. So bucket bags and duffel bags, which is still one of my biggest sellers now, were some of my very first pieces.
So tell me something, Tris, and I see Giovanni's there, support for you on the live, and we see some of them on screen now.
Yes,
in terms of your work. Tell us a little bit about some of these pieces.
Well, most of my bags are custom made to the clients. The pieces that sometimes people see displayed on my social media pages are already owned. They are requested and sewn to the request of the customers that asked for them. And these are some of my older pieces, and I've come a very long way, but most of what I sew is by request. It's not, most of the times it's not things that I've just sewn out of a hat, because I like to sew things to the request of the client, what it is Julian wants. Where are you going with this bag? I ask a lot of questions when somebody asks me for a bag. Where are you going? Is it going to be cold? Is it going to be hot? Do you like a lot of pockets? What are your colors? What do you like? So when you get a piece from me, it's a treasured piece. You're going to love it because it's going to be very much to your requests, your preferences, and it's not something that you're going to buy today and put down tomorrow. Some of my old customers, long-time customers, still, tag me on their posts on social media to tell me, oh, I still have this bag from 5 years ago, from 4 years ago, and it's still going strong. And that, thank you for the people that do that. That really makes me happy and keeps me going.
So tell us a little bit, and I like the fact that you spoke to, because I think that's one of the things that's unique for you in terms of trying to customize. I have always known when I met Tris initially, very quiet, very reserved. Tell me about this transition into, because of course a lot of people should know, if they don't, Tris doesn't have an entire factory. How do you do it?
Correct. I work from home. Most of my workshop space is at home, and I also have a small booth in the Scarborough market where I work from sometimes, but it's mostly for display, even though I hardly ever have things to display. For people who come to my store in the market, just know that you're not always going to find things there. They sell very quickly, and I'm grateful for that. But It's mostly me, and I have one other person that works with me, Curville. Good morning. And because things are customized, as most people would know, if you're customizing anything, it takes a while to do. So the lead time for production for my stuff is sometimes 6 to 8 weeks, most times, and sometimes it's longer. I've had customers wait over a year for products. Grateful once again. But it's just me, and things do take a while. So some persons might call me today and say, Tris, I have somewhere to go next week. That is sometimes very impossible for me to do. And I pride myself on quality of my products, and rushing is not good thing. Rushing is hardly ever gives you the quality that you want. Even with food, we know that fast food is not good food. We need to marinate our food overnight for it to taste good tomorrow. The same applies for the bags. We want to take time to produce a good product so that it lasts for a long time.
So one of the things I want you to let our viewers know, how do they connect with TJM Designs?
Connecting with me, I am on Facebook via TJM Designs, TJM Tobago. My profile that I interact with persons is TJM Tobago. I am on Instagram, TJM Designs Bago. I'm also on TikTok, which is mostly for fun and games, but I'm also on TikTok because I am my business. So it doesn't matter what profile I'm on. I am TJM Designs, so I will always be sharing my products and works on all of my platforms. Persons can reach me via any of those platforms or my WhatsApp, which is 328-4667. So I'm seen if you just search for TJM Designs or my name, Trisilla Joseph Myers. Even if you Google, you'll be able to find me pretty easily.
And we want to pull up a quick photo on screen. Give us a little insight into this process. That bag is, Tris, you know, of course, I got to send out kudos to my family heading out there to Jamaica.
Shanessa.
What would have been the process in getting this bag prepared for her?
Shanessa, I only found out, well, she's also one of my close friends. Her mommy is my close friend, and I found out that she was traveling to go to school, and she said, Tris, I need a bag. I said, no, I can't do this. I need 4 to 6 weeks. She's like, okay, no problem. And then she called back to say, okay, I really need this bag. I will give you extra time. And I really worked day and night. When I say I work day and night, Julian, I mean sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning is when I'm going to sleep to produce some of these products. And I'm so happy that I was able to produce that bag for Shanessa, because truth be told, I didn't know it was Jamaica she was going to. I thought it was Trinidad. So here I have my TJM Designs bag. Strutting around in Jamaica, compliments to Shanessa. I was very happy to be part of that process. Yeah.
Well done. Anything else you want to share with our viewers this morning before we wrap?
Well, gratitude is important. I am very grateful for my customers. I'm grateful for the persons who stick with me despite having to wait 6 to 8 weeks. That's one of my main things with my business, and I always have to put that out there for all my customers. It takes a while for you to get your product. I'm working on that not being the case, but it takes a while, and I'm very grateful for all the customers that have stayed with me and continue to buy from me and continue to wait on the products. God will bless you 100 times. Serious.
Yes, folks, this is a softer, lighter side. You don't get the brutal Trisilla. But thank you so much, Tris, and we want to wish you the very best in 2022 going forward. Folks, this is the Tobago Updates morning show, and we want to remind you, please stay tuned. Remember to share the live, share the live. Ria is going to be back in this final segment. You never know.
Good morning, good morning. Put a smile on your Put a smile on your face when you're moving from
Good
place
morning,
to
viewers,
place.
and welcome back. This is our final segment here, Tobago Updates Morning Show. Viewers, I don't want to waste any time. Ria, over to you.
Well, you know, the question of the day and the question of today again, what did Ria see? What I saw yesterday, I see people even in the studios are saying, let me take a seat.
Yeah,
What I
Ria,
saw
you have to give them a
yesterday-
few seconds. You have to give them a few seconds
Okay.
with the live and so on.
So
Ria, you're about to talk about what you saw. That's what you're telling me here, right?
What I saw yesterday was something that I should not have seen at that hour of the morning on set. I mean, I don't mind seeing it. I mean, I've seen. let me just cut to the chase. I'm just.
We have limited time, by the way.
We do, and listen. I think we should leave this for another day. All right, let's leave it for another day. It was the male genitalia of someone. The name I am not at liberty to say. However, it just surprised me. I am a married woman. I know what it looks like. Trust me, I know what it looks like. Very familiar with it, up close and personal.
You
However,
want to shout out Oswald there this morning?
yeah, we shout out
Folks.
Oswald. However,
I think we are almost out of time.
You know, it just took me by surprise when it was up in my face at that hour of the morning while on set. And not necessarily the time, but more so being on set, being at work. All right? So I'm going to leave it there. Viewers, have a great day. Stay safe on the roads. Remember to wear your mask, sanitize, and socially distance. Julian, hook me up here now. Okay, Tobago. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.